In this video, we're going to see how you can read Excel input using the POI item reader in Sprint Batch. So we have this Excel sheet here, which I have included in the resources folder. So please download the same and let's get started. So first thing we need to know is that we need to create a bean of type POI item reader. So I'm in the employee config class and I am going to go ahead and create the bean here. So let me just put this in the presentation mode. So let's create a bean of type POI item reader. But as you can see, we don't have this dependency yet. So we have to update our POM with the required dependencies. So let's go to POM Excel. And I'm just going to paste a couple of dependencies here. So these are going to help us for the Excel reading. So Apache POI is a well-known library for Excel. So we're going to use that. So let's get back. And now after the maven reload, I expect this, yes, it's available. So now let's go ahead and create, we want to read the employee object. So let's call this as Excel reader. And let's return null for now to get rid of the compilation failure. Here I'm going to create a POJO. And I'm going to do something very similar to what we did in the flat file item reader. So I'm just going to skip line 1 this time because we have the labels at the first line. We don't have the data directly, we have the columns first. So we have set that to 1. Then we can do set resource. So the resource is then going to be a file system resource, and we're going to simply copy paste something from here. Let's copy this. It's in the same directory, the file name is same, just you have to take care of the extension. So from CSV, I'm just going to put Excel SX. So we've informed the reader that it has to skip first line. You have to give the path which we have, and now what we'll do is we'll return the reader first, but we still have not told what are the column names, right? And now we come to two different options here. So one is you can have the column names exactly identical to your class instance variables. That is the first case. The second case is that you can have different names. Obviously, sometimes it's a client data in Excel and you cannot control the column names. So you can actually have a custom row mapper. So I'm going to show you that first. The custom row mapper first. So what we do here is we have a row mapper. Yeah, it's of the type employee. And we're going to call this as row mapper, or we can just better call it employee row mapper. And we don't have it yet. So let's sort of create employee row mapper and let it compile. For making it compile, let us create it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my project, and inside the base package, I'm going to create another package called as row mappers. It already exists. Okay. So, okay, I've already created that. So I'm going to add this here, and then it's going to implement an interface called row mapper interface. So if you've worked with Spring JDBC before, then this is nothing new for you. We have this in the JDBC as well. So we have to override this method, and as you can see, this takes in a row set, that is a row in the Excel, and it maps it to the employee. So we have to write our custom mapping logic here. So here goes the mapping logic. So the logic is very straightforward. It's going to be row set dot get current row, and as you can see, if you check the return type, get current row returns a string array. So all the columns are going to come as strings, and it is going to be returned as an array. So let's get back. So we'll just take it in an array. Let's call this as current row, right? And from the current row, now using the index, I can get the values. So I'm just going to say current row of 0. I know that this is going to be the ID, right? So then just put it into long dot parse long, and that is going to give me the ID. So I'm just going to take it into variable. I hope you got the idea. We're going to do very similar stuff for all the fields. So long is the ID, string we have put name. So for that we don't need any type casting. So I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to copy this for the email and the location as well. So let's just rename these variables and update the index. That's great. After we have these values, we can create our employee object. So I'm just going to call it employee to the new employee, and we can have a constructor. I hope we have a constructor. Yes, we have a constructor. So we can simply pass the arguments inside the constructor. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to pass name, then location, followed by email. And since we have this, we don't need to take it into a variable. We can just return it directly. So this sort of completes the mapping logic. So this is our row mapper completely coded. I'm going to explain this one more time. We are implementing the row mapper. The row mapper is an interface which has a map row method in which we will specify the logic of mapping the Excel row, each row in the Excel, to how it should be mapped to the employee. So we're going to extract fields from the Excel cells and going to populate our variables of the employee object. So that's that, and this is what the row mapper is doing. So if you go back to the employee config, the compilation failure has gone, and now we have to set this row mapper to the item reader. So I'm just going to do employee item reader dot set. As you can see, there is a method called row mappers which takes an argument of type row mappers. That is the one we have created. Let's apply this to that, and this is done. So this is the first option that we are looking at. So I'm just going to call it 1, and let us try it out first. So first we have to plug this in. So I'm going to copy this, and let's go to our step definition. Yeah, this is our step definition. As you can see, we have the reader as the flat file item reader, but now we're going to inject one more reader here. So I'm just going to put the comma and inject our Excel reader, and I'm going to replace the flat file item reader with the new Excel reader that we just coded. So should work now. It looks good to me. Let's try it out. Let's run the application. Let's run this. And as you can see, we are getting the two records as before. Toby with the Yahoo and James with the Yahoo, and it's exactly similar to what we saw in their videos, but this time our data source is actually being read from an Excel file rather than CSV. So this is how you can implement the Excel reading in Spring Batch. But this is the first option. The second option is much simpler than this. You don't have to write any custom code. I'm going to show you that as well. The second option is you can have an inbuilt Spring class. So we saw a class called as bean wrapper field set mapper in the previous video. Now we're going to see a class known as bean mapper, bean wrapper row mapper. It's a very confusing one, but we're going to have this bean wrapper object, and then we're going to create a pojo, and we're going to set the target type as employee.class. So when do you use this option and when do you use the first option? Like I mentioned earlier, if your column names in Excel match exactly as the instance variables in the model class, then you should go for this approach. This is a Spring offered class, so there is no custom code needed. But if sometimes you have to map, you have to add the mapping logic as per your business requirement, or somewhere your model classes do not match the column names in Excel, then you can go for the first option. The first option always works for you. The second is a special case, and it's sort of a standard approach. So we're going to try this. So what I'll do is we have to supply this one now. So let's copy this line and put it here, and instead of our employee row mapper, I'm going to apply this one. So this is no longer being used. This one will get injected. So let's run the application. I want to get out of presentation mode. Let's rerun, and we should hope to see the same output like before. And as you can see, we have the same output. There is no change in the output. So this is how you can use the Excel reader in Spring Patch. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you.